Alright guys, I know that we have been hard at work on our informational draft books, but today we're going to be looking back at some of our writing to make it the best that it can be, and we're going to be working on looking for some plural nouns in our writing and making sure that we have written those plural nouns the right way. So remember when we learned about nouns, we know that nouns are people, places, or things. So today we're going to be looking back at nouns in our writing and figuring out ways to show when our nouns represent more than one, and we call those plural nouns. So why does this matter? Well, for example, in my draft booklet, if I had a sentence that said, there are 8 planets that make up the solar system, that wouldn't make sense to my reader. I had to say there are 8 planets that make up the solar system. So plural nouns are important because it helps our writing make sense to the reader, and we want to make sure that our plural nouns are written correctly so that our writing is easier for our reader to understand. So if you look over on the chart, there are some rules for plural nouns. So for most plural nouns, you just add s, like with the word planet. I added an s to make planets to make it represent more than one. But in some cases, we add es, and I'm going to go through a few of those rules with you. So one of the rules is sometimes we don't add just s. Sometimes we have to add es, and that is if a word ends in ss, in sh, or ch, or x. We have to change it to add es, and you can see that on the singular plural chart right here for that situation. So here's an example. I have a box in my bedroom. I have 3 boxes in my bedroom. So you have to add es because it has an x. So another rule is whenever the noun ends in a vowel y, we add s to the noun. So that's like boy, o is a vowel. So it's boys. Holiday, A is a vowel, and then there's the Y, so you just add an S. Key, E is a vowel, so then there's the Y, so you just add S. Okay, here's another example. So when the noun ends in a consonant Y, we have to take the Y out and add IES to the noun. So here's an example over here. Like party, T is a consonant that comes right before the Y. So we have to drop the Y and add IES. Same thing with lady. D is a consonant before the Y, so we have to drop the Y and add IES for ladies. So here's some examples in the chart. Okay, and then another time we have to do something a little bit different than just adding an S is if a word ends in F or FE. So for example, life ends in FE. And to make it plural, we have to drop the FE and we have to add VES, which you can see over here on the chart. Same thing with leaf. It ends in an F, so we drop the F and add VES to make leaves. Same thing with thief. It ends in an F. We drop the F and add VES to make thieves. Okay, and let's see. And some nouns are just irregular. You have to change the vowel. And we just kind of have to memorize these kinds of irregular plural nouns, like man. To make it plural, you add an E instead of an A, and it's men. Woman changes to women. Child changes to children. Foot changes to feet. So these are some that we kind of just have to memorize and learn the irregular plurals for. And then there are some that are irregular because they stay the same in singular form and plural form, like fish and fish, sheep and sheep, deer and deer, moose and moose. So those can represent one or they can represent many, and they stay the same. Okay, so back to our chart over here. It represents what we just kind of talked about. So now what I want you to do is, let's think about the chart that I have up here. I have a category for words where we just add S, category for words where we need to add ES, category for dropping the F and add VES, and then dropping the Y and add IES. So I have a few examples up here of words that fit in those categories. So based on what we just saw on the other charts and what we talked about, some of the rules, let's see if we can brainstorm some more words that would go into these categories and see if we can add them to the chart. So I'm going to pause the video and then we're going to brainstorm, and I want you to turn and talk about this with the partner, and then we'll share out together. Okay, so today we're going to be looking back for places in your draft where you have included plural nouns. I want you to check to make sure your nouns follow these rules, because like we saw earlier, if our writing isn't clear and using these plural nouns correctly, it can become confusing for our reader, and we don't want that to happen. We want to make our writing the best that it can be.